All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriots Training Campcast, and we just came off the field here a little while ago. Guys, it was a red-hot day, and we were in the red zone. How do you like that?
Good.
Pretty good.
Good, Mike, good.
That was giving Fred. That was very Fred-like.
I take that as a compliment.
Fred vibes.
So the field a little bit condensed today, a longer session a little bit. So off the top, though, some housekeeping stuff. Matthew Judon back out there participating. Paul, maybe not like, first one up in all the drills. He wasn't throwing T-shirts out to anybody, but he was back out there. So maybe that's a positive sign. Things are headed the right direction with
No,
Judon.
I absolutely took it that way. He was kind of like jumping into the drills a little bit more than he was those first 4 days. We didn't see the interaction with the fans that we had seen early on in camp. But, yeah, I thought when they went 7-on-7, 11-on-11, he was out there. No full pads, so we'll see what happens on Friday when they're expected to be in full pads. But a good sign that whatever differences they had on Monday, they talked about it. Gerard Mayo talked before practice, said they had a conversation, and he was back out there.
Yeah, Tamara, another guy back at practice. Center David Andrews out for a couple of days. Some personal reasons he shared with everybody of why he was out. So good to get the captain back out there.
Yeah, it was good to see him back out there. And I don't know if that had anything to do with the offense flowing better, but I thought just having your captain back out there, his presence being back out there, to me it felt a noticeable shift in the offense and a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, so let's stay on that line, Paul. And that's, of course, what everybody wants to really know, Drake May and Jacoby Brissett. And, I thought today that it was another, solid day. It wasn't, of course, we're in the red zone, so things are about to get harder and
tough.
We've been used to that with Bill Belichick's practices where we were in the red zone constantly. So there were tighter windows, but, some plays to be made both by Jacoby and Drake May.
Yeah, it was more of a low red zone day, too. On Tuesday, they were a bit closer to the 20, so makes it even more difficult for the passing game when it gets that condensed. Talked a little bit to Christian Gonzalez and Jonathan Jones after practice about it. They thought the communication could improve. They both felt like there were some missteps there. I thought Tyquan Thornton, had a decent day, finding some gaps in some of those communication errors. And I do think both quarterbacks, and I know everybody wants to talk about May, both quarterbacks, I thought had some moments. It wasn't great. There were some misfires too, but I thought it was a better day for Drake May today.
I like how Paul brings up Tyquan Thornton because I know for me personally, I have ragged on him a lot on Patriots Unfiltered of saying, like, for me, that's a guy who I don't think is going to make this 53-man roster, but I think he's stacked together some really good days. He had 2 catches today over Christian Gonzalez in one-on-ones, and to me, if he keeps playing like that, he could get one of those roster spots in the wide receiver room.
Yeah, you bring it up to me. that's just one of the points I made after these first group of practices over the first week is that a lot of these wide receivers are, making occasional plays, Paul, but, it's just somebody hasn't really emerged as just like the guy, consistently getting open, consistently catching. It's, sometimes you're making the catch, sometimes we're seeing some drops. You mentioned, Jalen Polk, who's been very involved, but had a kind of a double catch today on, which was a nice crossing route and a pretty nice throw by Drake May. But, it just seems like that wide receiver room, it still seems like there's questions, and Pop Douglas getting more involved, though, which is a good sign.
Yeah, his first 11-on-11s of camp today, so that's a good sign that he's getting healthier. Yeah, I think you've seen days where Rager was good and days where, Douglas is starting to get involved now, and you see that, Polk, you've seen Baker. I think Thornton has had as many of those days as any of them. I don't think anybody has been consistently the best receiver in camp. But I think you're starting to see, as Tamara said, Thornton stack some days here and there, and he's come on. Now, I think he had a good camp last year. I think he had a good camp as a rookie. Unfortunately, both times he was injured before the summer had ended. So we'll see if he can show not just the consistency in his performance, but the durability to stay out there.
Yeah. I will say one person who's been silent in that room, in my opinion, is Juju. And for me, it's like you really can't afford it with splitting reps with 12 guys to be silent, to be dropping catches like he did. Drake May had one right in his hands. It was beautiful throw. Drops it. And I feel like we saw too much of that last season, and he's done a lot of that in camp so far.
Yeah, and tracking the reps, just not getting a lot of opportunities, even with guys like Rager and Booty both getting out there and them getting some chances. One more slight change that we've seen the offensive line been pretty consistent, but suddenly today, Vidarian Lowe stepping in at left tackle. Seemed like he did okay, but that kicked Caden Wallace down to left tackle with Drake May. So, Tamara, kind of to your point, maybe Caden Wallace stepping in at left tackle kind of maybe helps stabilize things a little bit there on that second line, where Antonio Mafi was still playing center. I mean, David Andrews got in a little bit, but it just seemed like, things were a little bit better today for Jake May in that second offense with, Caden Wallace stepping in at left tackle.
I agree. I feel like we're winding down the days of seeing all of the shuffling in and out on the offensive line. I feel like now that David Andrews is back, because I know we had Nick Leverett in there for back-to-back practices as David Andrews was out. Now that we have him back, hopefully have him back again tomorrow, we're going to really start seeing the offensive line shape out.
Yeah, that's, a hugely important thing. And, I think all of us feel a little bit encouraged, just the progress they're making.
Yep.
And hard to know for sure. We'll, start to get a better sense of it once we get into the preseason. Last thing, kind of circle around, Devon Godshaw announced yesterday, signed a contract extension with the team, Paul. He spoke today, happy to get the deal done. Team also just announced before we shot this that they signed Mike Purcell, another big defensive lineman, an interior space eater type. A little bit surprising to me. I just thought, if we're going to sign another defensive lineman, now that Godshaw's all said, it might be a little bit more in the mode of Christian Barmore, but kind of, look, we talked about this on Patriots Unfiltered. It's kind of a move the Patriots just had to make. After Barmore got hurt, Godshaw's a valuable piece on first and second down, and really this was probably what the end result was.
Yeah, get some depth in the run stuffing department. So we'll see if Purcell has something to offer. But yeah, I think the Godshaw situation, he seemed really relieved. When he spoke about it after practice, I think it's stuff that players don't generally want to worry about once camp starts. So I think he said that his wife had sort of said just worry about what you can be grateful for. Don't worry about what you don't have. So I think that's kind of the way the mindset that he had. And I give him credit because when he wasn't happy, unlike Judon, he was out there in the 11-on-11s on Monday and Tuesday. And then lo and behold, it gets done.
Yeah. I really like the attitude that he's had throughout camp. Obviously, wanted more money, seeing other teammates get deals done, but he held out, showed up, worked hard, and he didn't make a big fuss about it. So
yeah, well, another practice in the books. We're getting back into pads. We think tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, big practices, Paul. These are important ones. I'm
Make
excited.
or break, some might say.
Make or
Not
break.
me, Mike.
But continuing to hope that the team can stack some of these days together because, they've had some positive developments.
Yep.
And hopefully they can continue to build because, let's face it, we got a preseason game coming up next Thursday. So be sure to stay with us all weekend. Friday, Saturday, we'll have these Patriots training camp casts to get you caught up on everything that's going on right back out there in training camp this year. Thanks, guys.